Hello there, this is Brandon from Galaxy Doc Market. Today is April 18th, 2026, Saturday, approximately 8:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time as I bring you this video. And we had a very, very bullish close to options expiration Friday on April 17th, 2026, which was yesterday. And the question is this a start of a new raging bull market or is this a trap? So let's get into it. All right, so here's the disclaimer. If you're not part of our community, please pause it and read it. And if you agree, please move forward. And as always, thank you so much for following me on x.com, my primary place, /galaxy.market, and also for liking and sharing and subscribing on youtube.com. Thank you. All right, so last week, I talked about the Federal Reserve Bank is asking major U.S. banks for details about their exposure to private credit. And this is the 500-pound gorilla in the room, okay? And the real issue is that the banks are insolvent. There is a massive problems brewing underneath with these private credits, and these private credit entities and private equity firms are basically prohibiting redemption requests from investors. They basically gated their redemption to less than 5%. What kind of an investment is that? But that is a sign of bank insolvency. And if you've been following my channel any length of time, you know that I've been talking about the insolvency of the banks and its effect on the rising 10-year yield. It effectively makes all the banks insolvent. And then, of course, last week, President Trump said many Americans are unaware that our banking and financial system is antiquated. It needs an update, and it puts us at risk for any type of financial, catastrophes. And then, of course, while you're distracted by the war in Iran, this is what's really going on. They want you to not pay attention to this as they bring in a new monetary system backed by cryptocurrencies, gold and silver, as they steer away from the fractional reserve banking system, which has largely failed at this point. And remember, bankers take you to war. And that's exactly what's been happening in the past. And of course, last week, President Trump came out and said world's most powerful reset is going to happen, or it's happening. And what he's talking about really is the reset in the new world banking system and the new world order. Okay. And they just want you to not pay attention to some of the disruptions that are going to be taking place, to be in fear of the World War III and the Iranian conflict and the saga that happens. You can't make up a soap opera much more entertaining than this. I feel like we are living in a reality TV show at this point. So the question is, what's going to run this new money system? It's going to be XRP. Do you have that? Okay, that was public service message. And of course, you don't want to be these people waiting in line here when you could get them for $2.34 or less. Right now it's $1.50 or less. Okay. However, the 900-pound gorilla, it went from 500 to 900-pound gorilla, is that Iran is announcing it will not participate in the second round of negotiations. This was just breaking just 2 hours ago. Okay, so all this hype about peace being reached, how oil prices are going to come down, the blockade is going to end, and there's going to be peace and prosperity. Well, guess what? Remember what I always said, Monday through Wednesday is the bullish Trump, and now bearish Trump is coming to light Thursday through Friday with the specter of a Monday, Black Monday. Okay, here we go again. Okay, here we go again. This saga is not yet over because the monetary system shift or reset has not happened yet. Okay. And then, of course, there is the Kobesi letter. And he outlines basically that the Speaker of Parliament in Iran is saying that they never talked to the U.S. They didn't win the war. They, with the continuation of the U.S. blockade, Strait of Hormuz will not remain open. Well, no duh. I mean, blockade is exactly trying to achieve that. But he came out. This is pretty defiant tone, right? For a far cry from what Trump's administration was saying, that the Iranian peace deal has been reached, right? And then, of course, who's going to be governing will determine the field, not by social media. And right now, they're saying Iran controls this area. Okay. And then, of course, this statement came out right after the futures market closed on Friday. Of course, they do that, right? They didn't want to destroy the 13 weeks in a row, 13 days in a row of the stock market going higher, okay, and closing at all-time highs. And Trump really likes that. And if they're going to release any type of a shock, they're going to do so before the markets can react, before the retail traders and the small fries can react to it. This is time and time again, this is what they do. They waited until the market closed on Friday to trap the budding bulls. They wanted you to feel like the market was going to start a new V-shaped recovery, much like the way it did in 2020 right after the pandemic crash. Okay, and then they're going to pull the rug out from under you. And this is what they do all the time. Okay, tale as old as time, right? It's just basically that's what's happening. So, all right, so. And then, of course, when the market's closed, Trump signals ceasefire is uncertain right after the market, futures market closed. And he said he may not extend the ceasefire next week and strikes could resume next week. Okay, well, far cry from the peace deal that has been reached, right? I mean, it's just, and here's Janet Yellen. Oh boy, I do not like her. And she's laughing in the background because you've been had. Bankers take you to war. Okay, this is what they do. Okay, so is there going to be Black Monday again? Okay, banking insolvency and financial crisis is the real crisis, not the Iranian crisis. It's just not ready. The banking system change and monetary system change is not yet ready, so they bring out the fear mongering of the Iranian war or the specter of war and the rumors of war. Okay, they want you to be distracted by wars and rumors of war. All right, so before we get in, we caught this on April 16th, okay? And when we were looking at the April 17th expiration, this was on Thursday, we found it very peculiar that basically the interval map on the gamma exposure basically all but disappeared and it basically started to concentrate around 7,000. Okay, this is where they're positioning. Okay, maybe not necessarily on the April 17th, but I thought this was a glitch at first until yesterday when we were looking at the options expiration for Monday's closure. Okay, as the market started to close, okay, when we got to 10 a.m. as the stock market started to kind of, pin all of the options contracts, we started to notice for Monday's options contract, we had basically a drift in the call option and the put option premiums, okay? And this is pretty significant, okay? This net drift that had occurred as we basically come down. Here's the green in calls and red in puts. When they do this, something dramatic is about to happen. And so that was the warning sign, these two combined together. And then we started to look at the SPY. These were SPX on the previous one. And we noticed that the gamma wall really was at 710. Okay. And usually what gamma wall does is it tends to pin prices from there and then acts as a resistance. Okay. I know there's something sitting out here and that was just a fake out because everybody thought that we were going to probably get up into the 725 level by the end of Friday. But really, this is acting as a gamma wall. Okay, and it is the resistance. Okay, so here's the 705 that used to be the MVC as we got in. Okay, so if this is going to act as a resistance, the price is going to shift to 705. Consequently, we saw a whole lot of whale movement into 705 put contracts going into this April 24th expiration. So you got to follow where the money is. Watch these levels next week, especially these budding negative gamma exposures that are beginning to form. And this is something that you need to pay attention to because this is what clued us in that potentially there was going to be a negative news coming up. We don't know what they're going to say, but you know what? This is one of the most manipulated markets in the world, and the front running with the Trump administration even puts Biden administration like Nancy Pelosi and some of these Congress people front running news to shame. I mean, this is something that's happening over and over again. You might as well figure out what they're doing. We don't have to know what they're doing. You just have these clues that you need to follow. And the best way to do it is to do the gamma analysis. Okay. So we want to watch these levels. And then, of course, where did SPY close? Right at that gamma wall at near 710. Okay, that's exactly where we closed, right into this area, into the market close, and we held that in the after hours. And of course, when this option futures market and the SPY market closed, then they released that news that we're talking about. Okay, so someone knows something is happening. They trapped all the bulls, and is there a Black Monday type of things coming? No, I don't think so. I think the market has been overheated. It's been going up nonstop. It's at a record highs, all-time highs, and it's gone up for 13 days in a row. This is probably the most powerful recovery since like 2011. Okay. So basically what's happening now is that market is overheated. We're probably going to get 1.5 to 3% pullback, and then all the bulls are going to get fried in the process, and then bears are going to get emboldened again, start shorting near that bottom again, and then get fried again. This is a very volatile market. You need to be very, very careful. Okay, so is another stick save coming on Monday, right? Well, there's no stick save to come because Thursday and Friday was so bullish. They waited until the markets closed on Friday to release the news. So I'm saying no. I think either Monday or Tuesday, we're going to have a steep sell-off in the markets. Might as well be Monday. Let's see how this Iranian news develops, okay? And then, of course, instilling fear in the crypto market, right? We're around $1.34. This is from last week's chart, but we're around like $1.45 right now, right? Money system is changing. It's going to be running on XRP, folks. All right, don't be these people waiting in line to buy it at 1,000 when you could have had it for $1 right now. Okay. So in the coming week, we have markets that are super overheated and extended, and it is due for a pullback, and it's healthy. Markets do not go up in a straight line. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's do some technical analysis. Let's look at the McClellan Summation Index, and really McClellan Summation Index still has a negative divergence on the RSI. We have a cross actually from 50 to 200 SMA. And then, of course, we're kind of coming up into this region right here at the bottom of this volatility box. I don't know if we get there. I think we're going to start moving back down, probably test back down into this level and then move higher. We have some bullishness on the MACD. Definitely, we have bottomed. We call that successfully. But I do believe a little pullback is coming, and this is a way of cooling down the markets, right? So on the SPY, all you need to know is that we broke down from this negative divergence, and now we are positive. However, all the stocks are running right into key resistance level, in this case, upper band of the Bollinger Band. Of course, we're about to have a bullish MACD cross, right? But the problem is that markets have gone up incessantly, and that it is due for a pullback. And I believe that is what's coming, okay? Let's look at silver, though. Silver is breaking out, and I believe even with the negative Iranian news, it's highly inflationary, and it's basically fear, geopolitical fear. And silver finally broke out above the 80 MA and the 20 SMA. I think we're going to be, if we can get over this, $98 level, we're going to hit that all-time highs again, and we're off to the races. I believe we're going to hit somewhere between 125 to 300 fairly shortly. Okay, let's look at gold. Gold is the same thing, same exact pattern. Broke out from 20 SMA. We're kind of biding our time. It's going to move higher on these geopolitical tension, especially if it escalates. Okay, so let's look at our high flyers that we had on our watch list. Amazon just absolutely broke out and now running into resistance. They're all showing you that it is poised for a little bit of a pullback. Okay, let's talk about Lucid. Lucid is a zero, folks. This is an Arizona company. Electric vehicles, nobody wants it. They have a really nice store up in Scottsdale Fashion Mall here. There's nobody in there. I don't see Lucid anywhere. To me, they look like Oldsmobile, and nobody wants to deal with range anxiety, right? And basically just terrible resale value. Who are you going to sell it to? at this point, right? Nobody wants to buy it. There's no EV credits anymore. I believe that with the CEO stepping down, and even though they got a lifeline of $750 million credit facility from some Saudi entities, it doesn't really matter. I think just EV market is absolutely crowded. And we're talking about the next EV company, which is Tesla. Okay, Tesla has been taking it on the chin for the same reason, but because with the SpaceX IPO looming, it basically broke out. However, it's running right near the resistance. I believe a pullback is coming near the 20 SMA. It's going to be moving higher. It needs a breather. It's not like the end of the world, but people freak out even just with a 1% pullback. The stock market has gone up incessantly over the last, you know, 13 days, last couple of weeks, right? It's gone up almost 18 to 20%. It's due for a pullback, folks. And the Iranian non-peace deal is basically just the news. Here's Meta, right? It bounced up right into here, and then of course running right into that lower band of the upper band of the Bollinger Band, also from this downtrend line. Okay, we did break out. Okay, that's pretty bullish, but it's gone up and it needs a breather, and it's going to have a breather next week. Google, another great winner in our community. Basically, we've called the bottom, and now it's right now running right into the resistance at the top end of the Bollinger Band, and this goes on and on and on. And of course, we talked about oil. We're just going to talk about oil just briefly. And oil, realistically, is... And I said, basically, it's either going to bounce off from here, or we're going to break down and start getting into that $72, $68 range. And it kind of told you what it was doing, right? Into the close on Friday, that there's something brewing in the oil market, probably Iran, and we got it, okay? And so they fooled you. They fooled a lot of the retail bulls now, basically getting a little more emboldened, and then now they're going to pull the rug out under just for to cool it off at this point. I do believe the Iran deal is going to get done, but it's, I don't believe the monetary system is fully ready for implementation. Okay, great reset is coming though, folks. So Black Monday. Not Black Monday, but I do believe we're due for a pullback based on the Iranian news. It's heating up again. So we had a all but certain Iran agreeing to everything they're not agreeing to everything. Okay. And I believe that there's two factions that Trump is basically negotiating with. And I believe the people that are coming out at the key moments and saying that, oh, deal's not done, we're going to fight till the end, those are the last remnants of the old guard Iranian regime versus the new guard that may be coming into power shortly. And then reset, okay? Monetary reset, XRP is key. Any utility cryptos, gold and silver, you need to basically look into those. Breakdown in Iran negotiation is an excuse for a brief pullback to cool the markets down, okay? The bottom is in, folks. Okay, we're not going to have like this 2020 style 20% drop. That's for later. We're gonna basically correct in 3 stages. I think in the fall is when we're going to have the big one, as this private credit system, or the shadow banking system, as we like to call it, implodes. So banking crisis, private credit crisis is here, and that's the whole issue. The banks are insolvent, and the fractional reserve banking system is failing, and they need to bring in a new system, and they always do it with some sort of an event where they fear the mass populace into submission, and then they basically do whatever they want. They, of course, meaning the satanic banking cabal. Okay. Now, let's watch this. New money system is being implemented. Rest are distractions, wars and fears of wars. Be not distracted. God is in control. Silver, gold about to break out. Cryptos are moving higher. Yeah, you need to get some XRP, right? Markets are positioned to delay Iran deal as an excuse to cool the markets down. That's all it is, okay? And yes, we're going to get a pullback. And yes, a lot of the bulls are going to be trapped. And yes, we are positioned for that. We saw it. And we talked about the gamma exposure interval mapping. We looked at the options order flow, and that's exactly what it was doing. I would pay attention to Lucid. It looks like a zero without a buyout. CEO stepping down. I mean, they're basically, no one's buying these cars. I wouldn't buy them. They look like Oldsmobiles from the 80s or 90s to me. Okay. And stocks that are at critical level, Iran peace or war? What's going on? Okay. It's because they're not ready to implement the new money system yet. Anyways, that's it. Be careful out there. Follow me at Galaxy.market. Thank you for liking us, sharing, and above all, commenting on YouTube. And subscribe there, please. And if you want to work with me, you got to email me at Coach Brandon at protonmail.com. If you want to join my community, essential community, that's the entry level, but there's nothing entry about it. You get the watch list, gamma analysis, market analysis, a lot of the commentaries throughout the day to help you with your trading. Join the community, become a better trader. Okay, so that's about it. Like I said, be very, very careful. Okay, it's not what it seems. Okay. And you got to be nimble in this market. You can't be biased, bullish or bearish. Remember, in these type of environments, both bulls and bears get killed. Anyways, be careful. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.